Hey everyone, welcome to another segment of A Course in Miracles Applied. Today's topic is lesson 132, I lose the world from all I thought it was. This lesson is, I think most lessons are, but I find this lesson be a very good representation of the notion that we read the Course in the beginning, and then 10 years later we read it again, and 10 years later we read it again, and hopefully in between we read it again also. But the layers go deeper and deeper and deeper the more we work with the Course and the more we apply it and the more often we read it. And this lesson is just a really good example of that. For example, when we start out and we read, I lose the world from all I thought it was, we don't really have an idea of what that means, how deep that thought goes, and especially how impossible it is to do. You know, we say, and I count myself amongst them, we say, yeah, I can lose the world from all I thought it was, you know, what's the big deal? And then over time we realize how much we want to hang on to the world, how much we are identified with it, how much we are attracted to it. And that's one of the major contributions of the Course, that it just leads us in this spiral ever deeper into the ego thought system and into our beliefs. The further down we go, the darker it seems to get, but also the light increases at the same time. So I want to go through this lesson just with a little bit of a different angle, connecting it to what we've been talking about here on the chart, and just looking just below what the line says, and just uncovering content that is beneath the obvious sentence and the obvious paragraph. So, for example, in paragraph 1, it says, what keeps the world in chains but your beliefs? Right? It's a pretty clear sentence. And we first, or when I read it, beliefs were just my beliefs, right? My conscious beliefs would keep the world in chains. In time, we find out that the core belief below my conscious beliefs is that belief in our own sinfulness. Right? That is at the core of the whole ego thought system, and that is at the core of all of our beliefs. There's no belief we hold that does not stem from our belief in sin and the subsequent experience of guilt. We believe something not just because we believe it, we believe something because it serves a very specific purpose. So one chapter could be called The Purpose of Our Beliefs. Right? Because the belief, I believe something about a person, I believe things about myself or others. I have beliefs about God, right? I have beliefs about the world, how the world works. I have a belief about cause and effect. Something in the exterior, in the external world causes my mood to change, right? So those are all beliefs. And as we progress with the Course, we learn that those beliefs are not just random. And we don't believe, our beliefs are not based on how we grew up either. Right? The Course doesn't necessarily go into that very much. But in the Absence from Felicity, Jesus talks to Bill about the fact that his parents' belief system, his parents had a certain belief system, and he only picked a couple of those and carried those as his own beliefs. The others he dropped. So he didn't fully take on all the beliefs his parents had. That would be, then if he carried over all the beliefs his parents had, then we could believe that, okay, whatever your parents believe, then that's what you believe. But Jesus told him that he was dropping some of those and keeping others, which indicates that there's a certain purpose behind it, because we drop the beliefs that don't serve us and we keep the ones that serve us. And what do they serve? Right? What do our beliefs serve? And they can only serve two masters, right? They can serve the ego and they can serve the Holy Spirit. In most cases, in the Holy Spirit, there are no beliefs. Right? The beliefs come from this thought system. That's why the Course says, in order to learn this Course, it is required to question every value that you hold. To learn this Course requires willingness to question every value that you hold. Right? A value is a belief, and the Course asks us to question every value, which indicates that all the values come from the ego thought system. And if the value comes from the ego thought system, it must come from our belief in sin, because this is the origin of the ego thought system. Right? The acceptance of guilt into the mind of God's Son was the beginning of the separation, as Jesus says. So the acceptance of sin, of the thought of sin within our mind, is the origin of the ego thought system. So every belief that we hold stems from that. And when Jesus says, what keeps the world in chains but your beliefs, we believe in gravity, right? We believe in weather. We believe in hot and cold, right? We believe in darkness and light. Those are all beliefs that keep the world in chains, right? We chain the world with our beliefs. We believe certain things about our brother that keep them, our brothers, in chains. But what lies underneath all of our beliefs is this belief in sin. Right? The deep belief that we are, as the Course says, the home of evil, darkness, and sin. That is what is the engine of our beliefs. Without the belief in sin, the beliefs are like feathers floating away. So when Jesus says, I lose the world from all I thought it was, as the header says, he knows we can't do it because we're holding on to the world for a very specific purpose. Right? To lose the world from all we thought it was means we have given up the belief in sin. Because without the belief in sin, there is no reason for us to hold on to the world. We know from down here, identifying with the world, identification is salvation. As the Course says, all think that identification is salvation. So we identify with the world for a very specific purpose because we believe it will save us. And we can't lose the world from all we thought it was until we have given up our belief in our own sinfulness. So what keeps the world in chains but your beliefs, and what can save the world except yourself? Capital S, self. Belief is powerful indeed, The thoughts you hold are mighty, and illusions are as strong in their effects as is the truth. A madman thinks the world he sees is real and does not doubt it. We don't doubt that the world is real, but not just because we can't do anything else. Just it's not a given, right? We don't doubt the reality of the world because we must believe it. Identification is salvation. We believe our salvation depends on seeing the world as real. Right? We believe if we loosen the world from all we thought it was, if we loosen that identification, we will die. We believe this identification with the world saves us from going back to the mind where God waits to take back the life we stole from him. That's the story the ego told us and we believed. And when Jesus says a madman thinks the world he sees is real and does not doubt it, we don't doubt the world because we can't loosen it while we believe in our own sinfulness. Madman links back to the tiny mad idea. Right? When we believe the tiny mad idea that separation is real and that it happened and that it is a sin that we have committed, we become madmen. Right? A madman thinks the world he sees is real and does not doubt it, nor can he be swayed by questioning his thoughts' effects. The effects of this mad belief is the world we see. And questioning the world we see is the very beginning of the process, but it is not the answer. We must trace back what we see in the world to our own belief in sinfulness. We must make that connection. Otherwise, if we just look at the world without tracing it back to our mind, our belief won't change because the cause, the source of our belief hasn't changed. It is but when their source is raised to question that the hope of freedom comes to him at last, right? The source of those mad beliefs is raised to question. So what we do is we look out into the world, we see our beliefs in the world. And then we trace those beliefs back to the source of those beliefs, which is to the purpose of those beliefs, which is our belief in sinfulness. And therefore we believe we need something to save us from God. We need the world to save us from God. Right? That belief is the origin of the belief that we see in the world. The belief in gravity is only there so that we can identify with this world. And the identification is only there if we believe in our own sinfulness. So it all always traces back to this, right? To this belief in sinfulness. So we can't be swayed by questioning the thought's effects, which means the world. It is but when their source is raised to question that the hope of freedom comes to him at last. The hope of freedom only lies in questioning the source of our beliefs. Questioning the beliefs is the start. I believe in good and evil. I believe in morals. I believe in the political landscape. Or I believe in my body, certain processes within my body. I believe in chemistry. I believe in biology. I believe in DNA. All those beliefs, if we question those, it's a good start, but we have to do the next step. We have to go below it. We have to question the one belief that is responsible for all of those beliefs, which is our belief in sin. Yet is salvation easily achieved for anyone? For anyone is free to change his mind, and all his thoughts change with it. When Jesus says salvation is easily achieved, it's possible that it's easily achieved once the belief in sin has been significantly lowered or given up. Then salvation is easily achieved, right? The workbook is there to motivate us, to make us realize there's a right mind, and we have a choice, right? That's what the workbook is for. We have a choice between those two thought systems. That doesn't mean we can make that choice right now, right? The choice right now, I believe, is to look at this as the cause for our misery. Not necessarily to give it up. We can't give up guilt so easily, because guilt, once we believe it, becomes part of the defense against the love that awaits us. So we can't just give it up, right? We can't just lose the world from all we thought it was. Otherwise, we would do it. We wouldn't need the course. We wouldn't be here listening to this video that tells the same old thing over and over again, right? So yet is salvation easily achieved for anyone? For anyone is free to change his mind, and all his thoughts can change with it. So if we change our mind, our thoughts change with it. If we change our mind, means we'll give up this belief in guilt, in sin. All our thoughts will change with it. And if our thoughts change, our beliefs change, and the world will change. Now the source of thought has shifted. For to change your mind means you have changed the source of all ideas you think or ever thought or yet will think. The source of all ideas in the ego thought system is the belief in sin. Right? That is the source. When we give up that source of that belief in sin, the source of thought has shifted. For to change your mind means you have changed the source of all ideas you think or ever thought or yet will think. You free the past from what you thought before. You free the future from all ancient thoughts of seeking what you do not want to find. Right? All of this stems from this. Right? This is at the core of this paragraph that Jesus talks about. Once the belief in sin is gone, we can free the past from what we thought before. Right? That's what it means to give up that belief in sin. You free the past from what you thought before. You free the future, because without the belief in sin, there is no future. There's no fear of the future. Right? There's no belief in anything in the future becomes unimportant once this belief in guilt is given up. And fear cannot exist without the belief in sin. The present now remains the only time. So once sin is gone, present now becomes the only time. Here in the present is the world set free. For as you let the past be lifted and release the future from your ancient fears, you find escape and give it to the world. Right? We can see that everything traces back to that belief in sin. The future, you release the future from your ancient fears. The ancient fears are the fear of God, because we believe we attacked him, because we believe we're so guilty, and because we believe in our own sinfulness. The ancient fear is the fear of God. Right? Without that, there cannot be this. And there won't be a reason for this identification with the world. You have enslaved the world with all your fears, your doubts and miseries, your pain and tears, and all your sorrows. Press on it and keep the world a prisoner to your beliefs. So we enslave the world with our fears, with our doubts, with our miseries, our pain and our tears, and our sorrows. Press on the world. There is no fear without the belief in sin. There's no doubt without the belief in sin. There's no misery without the belief in sin. There's no pain, there are no tears, and there are no sorrows without the belief in sin. The world is no longer a prisoner if we give up our belief in sin, because what we do is we can't stand this guilt, we push it outward, we push it onto the world, and we make the world a prisoner with our own projection of guilt. If we let go of our belief in guilt, the world is no longer our prisoner, because we have lifted the heavy burden from the world, which is nothing other than our projected guilt. Death strikes it everywhere. The moment we believe in sin, death strikes it everywhere, because you hold the bitter thoughts of death within your mind. The bitter thoughts of death in our mind are the effect of our belief in sin, right? We believe in sin, we feel guilt, we push it out onto God, and now we're utterly afraid God will come back and take the life back that we supposedly stole from him, right? The bitter thoughts of death. Without the belief in sin, there are no bitter thoughts of death. There can't be. There cannot be any fear without sin, because the belief in sin is the cause. If you take away the cause, fear cannot be there, cannot exist. The world is nothing in itself. Your mind must give it meaning, and what you behold upon it are your wishes acted out, so you can look on them and think them real, right? The world is nothing in itself. It's a blank canvas, especially it is a neutral canvas. There is no emotion attached to it. There's nothing in the world. It is literally a movie that is going on a movie screen with no emotions attached to it. It's like a silent movie. There's no music, there's no dialogue, no emotions are expressed. Everything we see on it comes from us. Everything we experience in connection to the world is us. So if we look out in the world and we see a scene that we're upset about, and we close our eyes, and that experience that we have at this very moment has nothing whatsoever to do with the world. It is our experience. And the experience can only be one of love, or the expression of love, and one of the belief in sin with all its consequences. Right? Those are the two major experiences. And within the ego thought system, the ego gives us 1,000 different experiences, all connected to something in the world. Somebody leaves, somebody comes, somebody does something, somebody says something, something happens out there. We feel uncomfortable in a group of people. If we would close our eyes at that very moment and realize this, what I'm feeling right now, is me, is in me, has absolutely nothing to do with this world. Because all the world can give me is what I gave it first. The world is nothing in itself. I gave it all the meaning that it has. And the purpose for me giving it the meaning it has is to get rid of this sense of guilt and to be attached to something in the world, so I don't float back up into the mind where God will kill me. Right? Kill or be killed, as the manual for teachers says. An angry father pursues his guilty son. That's why we're doing this down here. Right? And then Jesus says the world is nothing in itself. Your mind must give it meaning. And what you behold upon it are your wishes acted out, so you can look on them and think them real. And the reason why we want them real is because we need the identification with this world to feel safe. If we wouldn't need the identification with the world, all we would feel is love. We would look out at any conflict in the world, at any political field, at any health issue, any money issue, anything, we would look out and we would feel love for everyone involved. If that's not the case, we must by default believe in our own sinfulness, right? And that is the solution. We trace it back to this, and that's what we can look at with Jesus and say, is this really true, right? We question the value of our own sinfulness. That is the process with the Course. Everything else is just leads us there over time. Perhaps you think you did not make the world, but came unwillingly to what was made already, hardly waiting for your thoughts to give it meaning. Yet in truth, you found exactly what you looked for when you came. It basically indicates that we are making the world up as we go. We're making it up based on our needs, and our one need with the ego thought system is to have something we can identify with. That's how we make up the world, according to what we need, and we believe we're so sinful, we need the world and be in the world fully so that we're not annihilated by this vengeful God. There is no world apart from what you wish, and herein lies your ultimate release. That is the beginning of the reversal, right? We believe we're in this world at random, and the world has nothing to do with what I wish. In fact, most of what is in the world I don't want, right? I don't want to look at a war. I don't want to look at conflicts. And Jesus says, there is no world apart from what you wish. The world does not exist without our wish. And herein lies your ultimate release. Once we begin to realize that the world is our wishful thinking acted out, that's the first step. Whatever we see in the world, whatever we react to, whatever we experience within us, then is our wish. And then we can give it a purpose and say, why do I wish that? Why would I be so miserable? And Jesus says, because you believe identifying with the world, which means being the victim of the world, right? Which means we are completely dependent. Our state of mind is dependent on the world. That's what identification is. I get a new car, I feel elated. The car breaks down, I feel miserable, right? I get a partner, I feel elated. I lose a partner, I feel miserable. Right? Both states of mind are within the ego thought system, and both states of mind are purposefully there according to my wish to be identified with this world because this belief is so strong. Change but your mind on what you want to see, and all the world must change accordingly. You can see the rhyme, right? Change but your mind on what you want to see. We can't just change your mind about what you want to see. We must change the reason why we're seeing it. We must first acknowledge, why am I seeing this all day? Why am I looking, why is this pattern in my life? Why am I doing always the very same thing over and over and over again? The reason is this. And once we're there, once we zoned in on the cause for all of our misery, then we can solve it. That's why the Course is written the way it is. The only reason it does all that on 1,200 pages is to save us time. The time-saving aspect is not oh, this is all love, I'm loved, God loves me. That's not the time-saving aspect. That's part of the journey home, but the actual work is, why am I so upset? Because of my belief in guilt. Why am I so identified with the world? Because of my belief in guilt, in my own guilt, my own sinfulness. Once we trace it all back to that, this is then what the solution is. We can look at that with Jesus and question it. Start to question this deepest of beliefs. Start to question that. And that is what will get us home. All the rest in the course is just there to lead us towards that one single item. Makes it all very simple. Right? It's just convoluted. It feels convoluted in the beginning because our mind is so convoluted, and Jesus has to kind of cast a wide net to cast it and then pull it slowly into a single piece of focused attention. And everything leads to that eye of the needle, which is this belief in sin. Change but your mind on what you want to see, and all the world must change accordingly. We change the mind on what you want to see. What we want to see is based on, do we need identification in the world? If I need to identify with the world, I will see things that make me identify with it, positive or negative. I can see a beautiful mountain range that is rugged and I can hike in it, or I can see a war. Right? Whatever makes the world real is there because I want to make it real, because I think I need to make it real. Purpose in the course is everything. What is the purpose of what I see? Why am I so attached to this problem? The reason is I need this. I think I need this problem because I feel so. The belief in sin is still so strong, and that is crucial information. That is the best piece of information on our journey home, is that we still believe we're sinful. That is what we can work with Jesus and the Holy Spirit. If we think we're beyond guilt, there's nothing this presence of love, the right mind, can do for us. If we close up this belief in front of Jesus and say, no, I'm not guilty, I think I got it. If we give up the belief in sin completely, all we will feel is love. And a love that we cannot even comprehend when we're there. It's all-encompassing. It fills our mind completely. If we don't experience that, by default, we must believe this. So we have a little work to do. That is what we can do. Right? We can't do anything in the world. We can't change the world. The change is, the world is literally our wish projected outward. It cannot change. It will never change. Only our world can change. If we begin the process of looking at this as the cause. Ideas leave not their source. This central theme is often stated in the text and must be borne in mind if you would understand the lesson for today. Ideas leave not their source. We are in an idea in the mind of God. We cannot leave its source. That means we cannot separate from God, from the oneness of heaven. Ideas leave not their source because we believe in this sinfulness. We push it into the world, and we now see all the sinfulness in the world, all this war, all this death. What we see and experience is not in the world. It is inside the mind because ideas leave not their source. The idea of sin does not leave its source and goes outside and stays outside. Any sin, any guilt that we see on the outside, anybody who is a bad guy, we are the ones. That is our sin we see, our belief in sin. And then we identify with it outside and we won't let it go. We won't lose the world from all we thought it was because of our need to push the guilt out and then grab onto it on the outside. So we're not sucked back into the mind. Right? We talked about the stream. We're in the stream, floating down. The stream is flowing down. We're holding onto the branch with one hand. And we won't let go of that branch because it will take us home. But we hold on to it. We hold on to the branch for dear life because we think the stream, this river, will kill us. It is not pride which tells you that you made the world you see, and that it changes as you change your mind. It is not pride. But it is pride that argues you have come into a world quite separate from yourself, impervious to what you think and quite apart from what you chance to think it is. Right? We believe we came into a world that is completely independent of us. We just came here and stuff started to happen. Right, to us. There is no world. This is the central thought the Course attempts to teach. That is a terrifying thought. If we're in the ego thought system and we're fully aware what this means, when Jesus says there is no world, and he says it 5 times in this lesson. Jesus says there is no world. This is an absolutely terrifying thought. That's why we don't even think about it. We read right past that to the next line. There is no world. This is the central thought the Course attempts to teach. What do we do with this sentence? If there's no world, there's no us. There's no body, right? If there is no body, then this identification gets loosened and I'm back in the mind where God will kill me, so I'm never going to go there. We cannot accept this sentence, there is no world, while we believe in our own sinfulness. Right? And Jesus very slowly, very gently leads us to the thought. There is no world. This is the central thought the Course attempts to teach. And then he goes back to another thing. Then he comes back to it. He goes to something else. He comes back to it. And then it's not mentioned for many, many lessons. Because he knows we're afraid of letting this thought stand in our mind and take over. Because we think we will be finished. As long as we believe in the belief in our own sinfulness, we believe without the world we will literally die. Not everyone is ready to accept it. It's mild understatement. We're not ready to accept it. And each one must go as far as he can let himself be led along the road to truth. Right? He will return and go still further, or perhaps step back a while and then return again. Right? The more we forgive, the more our own belief in sin is loosened up, the further we can go with this sentence. If we find ourselves completely and utterly identified with the world, we're holding on to it with dear life, with all kinds of conflicts and problems and good things, and we wake up and realize, wait a minute, I'm holding on so tightly to this world. Please help me, Jesus. And Jesus says, let's trace it back to this belief. Your own sinfulness is the cause for you holding on to the world for dear life. Let me tell you, the Son of God is guiltless. And in his innocence is his salvation. Let me tell you that. Right? But we can't, if we just hear that, it makes no sense without applying it first. We need this to be applied to something. If this is the Band-Aid, we need the wound to put it on. Otherwise, you just put it on your skin. it doesn't do anything. If you have antibiotic cream and you just put it on your skin, there's nothing it does. It needs like a cut. You put it on the cut. You look for the cut and you put the cream of innocence right here on your cut of sin. So we look out in the world, we trace it back to this belief, and then we apply to this belief in guilt Jesus' promise. We're not ready to accept it. We will return, perhaps step back a while, and then return again. Right? That's the journey with the Course. It goes back and forth. 2 steps forward, 1 step back, sometimes 1 step forward, 3 step back. But we're on the journey moving forward. And the journey is from this wide net that the Course casts, the 1,200 pages when we start reading it, to narrowing it to this one single thought, that this is the cause for everything you see. But healing is the gift of those who are prepared to learn there is no world and can accept the lesson now. Their readiness will bring the lesson to them in some form which they can understand and recognize. Some see it suddenly in point of death and rise to teach it. Others find it in experience that is not of this world, which shows them that the world does not exist, because what they behold must be the truth, and yet it clearly contradicts the world. Right? We all had, not that we all had those experiences, but those experiences exist that show us that the world is not real, but we can't hold on to that. Right? We cannot hold on to this experience that the world is not real while we believe in our own guilt. Right? It's impossible. This belief in guilt will not let us see the world as unreal. We can paint over the mold, right, and just put a white coat on it and say, oh yeah, the world is not real. Sure. That doesn't mean anything, right? If we would truly believe the world is not real, we would also at the very same time have an overwhelming experience of love. If we just say the world is not real and we don't feel any love, we still believe this. We just say the world is not real, right? I want the peace of God. To say these words is nothing. To mean these words is everything. So if we say the world is an illusion and not also at the same time experience love coming from all the objects in the world toward us, we're just saying it. We're not believing it, and we don't believe it because we still believe in our own sinfulness, which means there's just some more work to do, right? It's not a big deal. The more open we are to this concept of whatever we experience is because of this, the faster it will go. Because this is the only work we need to do, really, is to over time question that belief with Jesus. And some will find it in this course and in the exercises that we do today. Today's idea is true because the world does not exist. And if it is indeed your own imagining, then you can lose it from all things you ever thought it was by merely changing all the thoughts that gave it these appearances. All the thoughts that gave it these appearances are our beliefs, and the beliefs are based on this, right? The sick are healed as you let go all thoughts of sickness, and the dead arise when you let thoughts of life replace all thoughts you ever held of death. That's synonymous with sin, right? The sick are healed as you let go of all the thoughts of sin. And the dead arise when you let thoughts of life replace all thoughts you ever held of sin. A lesson earlier repeated once must now be stressed again, for it contains the firm foundation for today's idea. You are as God created you. There is no place where you can suffer and no time that can bring change to your eternal state. How can a world of time and place exist if you remain as God created you? So we can experience this sentiment that we are as God created us, which is our truth. That is the truth about ourselves. The only truth about us is that we are as God created us. He created us sinless. As long as we don't experience this, we must believe in our sinfulness. What is the lesson for today except another way of saying that to know yourself is the salvation of the world? To free the world from every kind of pain is but to change your mind about yourself. Changing our mind about ourselves is letting go of this belief in guilt. What will arise then is that we will accept that we are as God created us. There is no world apart from your ideas, because ideas leave not their source, and you maintain the world within your mind in thought. Yet if you are as God created you, you cannot think apart from him, nor make what does not share his timelessness and love. Are these inherent in the world you see? Does it create like him? Unless it does, it is not real and cannot be at all. If you are real, the world you see is false, for God's creation is unlike the world in every way. And as it was his thought by which you were created, so is it your thoughts which made it and must see it free, that you may know the thoughts, capital T thoughts, you share with God. Release the world. Release the world really means change this. Right? Change the belief in sin and guilt. That's what releases the world. Anything we try to change in the exterior world will not change it. It will give a momentary relief, but it will not change our belief in guilt. That is the only power we have, is to question this belief. Your real creations wait for this release to give you fatherhood, not of illusions, but as God in truth. God shares his fatherhood with you, who are his son, for he makes no distinctions in what is himself and what is still himself. What he creates is not apart from him, and nowhere does the Father end, the Son begin, as something separate from him. Right? We are in the mind of God, in wholeness, in oneness. The rest is illusion, but in this illusion right now, we gave the illusion a very specific purpose, which is to shield us from this. And giving up our belief in sin is what slowly loosens up that defense mechanism, and we can naturally be back to God without any effort at all. There is no world because it is a thought apart from God and made to separate the Father and the Son and break away a part of God himself and thus destroy his wholeness. Can a world which comes from this idea be real? This idea of sin, right? Destroy this wholeness, break away a part of God himself. That is what is the origin of our belief in sin. Can a world which comes from this idea, which is sin, be real? Can it be anywhere? Deny illusions, but accept the truth. Deny you are a shadow, briefly laid upon a dying world. Release your mind and you will look upon a world released. Right? It says the same thing over and over again. Release your mind from what? Right? From what do we release our mind? From this belief in sin. Once this is gone, you will look upon a world released. Today, our purpose is to free the world from all the idle thoughts we ever held about it and about all living things we see upon it. they cannot be there. No more can we. For we are in the home our Father set for us along with them. And we who are as he created us would lose the world this day from every one of our illusions, that we may be free. And then it just continues on with the actual exercises. So we can see, in one sense, Jesus tells us, you are the Son of God, right? Nowhere does the Father end, the Son begin as something separate from him, right? That's our reality. That is a given that cannot change, because oneness cannot be divided. Eternity is eternal forever. Nothing can change heaven and the love of God, period. Nothing real can be threatened, right? That is our truth. And that is the foundation of this course. And then building on this foundation is Jesus showing us our state of mind, which is not this. Our current state of mind is not this. Our awareness is not in heaven. Our awareness is on this idea of sin and guilt. And then it goes out into the world and we see all those fragmented parts. Let me see if I can read this as a closing. So that belief in sin. You who believe in God, that God is fear, made but one substitution. It has taken many forms because it was the substitution of illusion for truth, of fragmentation for wholeness, right? We substituted our innocence for our belief in sin. It has become so splintered, that belief in sin has become so splintered and subdivided and divided again over and over, that it is now almost impossible to perceive it once was one and still is what it was. Right? So we have fragmented the oneness of heaven, not in reality, only in our mind, in our imagination. Because of this belief in sin, we have fragmented the truth into billions and billions of splintered, subdivided parts. Over and over again, it is now impossible to perceive it once was one and still is what it is. That one error is the belief in sin that brought truth to illusion, infinity to time, and life to death was all you ever made. Your whole world rests upon it. Everything you see reflects it, and every special relationship that you have ever made is part of it. Right? All the fragmented aspects we see in the world come from our fragmented mind. And the fragmented mind comes from this belief in our own sinfulness. Without this belief, the mind would heal in an instant. It would go back just like that to the awareness of love's presence within us. But we have fragmented this so much that we see it outside in a myriad of different scenarios, right? Not realizing that it is just one scenario based on one belief that hides this oneness of the love of God within us. All right, I think that's all for today. On lesson 132. Thanks for watching.